The moves in the NFL keep happening. We've got a lot to reflect upon today on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Crabbs from Locked On Dolphins, and we are your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to issue a big thank you, shout out, and welcome to our everydayers. Those of you who never miss a single episode, we appreciate y'all being here very, very much.
Joe, we got on the pre-show and each of our teams made a move, so we should probably make sure we're efficient here, dive in, get as much ground covered as we can in our allotted 33 minutes as we possibly can.
33 minutes, don't go past it.
Getting a rocking and a rolling.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we start with the big news of Sadiq Charles coming out of retirement. My guy saw the money going to these guards. He said, you know what? I'm back. I'm coming back. Kidding.
Hard to blame him, right? Like some of these interior offensive line contracts, you're getting offensive tackle money 3 years ago.
Cap keeps going up, man. These like second tight ends are getting $7-8 million a season. Rotation. Tershawn Wharton, explain it to me, Kyle. What Tershawn Wharton signed for and Javon. I know I'm getting ahead of myself.
No, Tershawn Wharton said we like Tershawn Wharton, right?
I do, yeah.
So
3 years.
I don't know. I think you're redefining what the middle class looks like.
Right. And we have to learn that. You're exactly right. Even these backup quarterbacks.
Yeah. I mean, the Daniel Jones contract, Indiana Jones, right? Played.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I
didn't come up with that.
Oh,
no.
I was going to say that's terrific.
But it is an outstanding new alias for signing new Indianapolis Colts quarterback Danny Dimes in an open competition.
Yeah.
With Anthony Richardson. So we're going to get to that today. We're going to, off the cuff, throw out some contract agreements. They're not contract signings because they didn't happen. They can't have it till 4 o'clock. So be ready at 4 o'clock. And your timeline is going to be inundated with pen to paper pictures with the guys with the hat and the stadium in the background and the big smile with the family all around. Like that's coming. But we're going to start with Philadelphia Eagles, our Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, who not just trading Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, they finessed the Texans to pay most of the contract of Kenyan Green. I don't know if you saw that as a part of that deal. So now he's even cheaper for them to have on a 2-year deal as a former first-round pick that surely, as the newest indoctrination into the Church of Stoutland, is going to be an outstanding player. You just know they're going to get that right.
Mm-hmm.
But they are pivoting, and they're pivoting off of some established talent. And from a team building perspective, Joe, this is probably proactive foresight from Philadelphia that I don't think a lot of teams would have the intestinal fortitude to actually go through with.
Certainly helps when you won the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Right. I mean, there's a freedom to operate. We've said that about Kansas City to an extent at times when, last year when they traded away L'Jarius Sneed, you can feel differently and have a lot more open-mindedness with how you manipulate your roster based on having the success that everybody wants. And so I think that's probably step one here in acknowledging a bit of a teardown for the Eagles, but at the same time, man, it's a strong nucleus still. They've certainly drafted in anticipation for a lot of these positions, and that's worked. I mean, they moved away from Kelsey and Fletcher Cox last year, and you thought those were two influential leaders. The team fell apart in 23, and then it built back up in 24. So I think the success gives them a lot of freedom to navigate.
Yeah. So the expectation that I'm hearing is Dallas Goedert will be next. It's a matter of trade or cut for Dallas Goedert. Really good tight end, right? Question is, what's the value going into a contract year with, I believe, $15.5 million in salary that's due to him with a player who has admittedly had some durability issues. So I think that's the next player on the block. But Darius Slay, they've made the transition there. I think James Bradbury is not a surprise to anybody. That was one they probably would have got out of 2 years ago if they didn't do the void years. But that's the big thing for me, Joe, is you check the box, you won the Super Bowl, and now you're at the fork in the road. Are you going to choose to keep pushing and keep going with an understanding that if you stay committed, regardless how genius it is for Howie Roseman to put all the void money after the new CBA has to be negotiated and the TV deals expire, so there's going to be new influxes in cash and it's just going to continue to explode. Like, I get that. All of that is very real and very factual with how the Eagles have operated and how they've structured their contracts. But if you keep going, there's going to be a point where you're going to wake up, your eyes are going to snap open, and you are going to be what the New Orleans Saints are finding themselves doing now, where they're giving guys that are expiring contracts that maybe didn't perform to expectation new contract deals just so the void dollars don't hit, so they get more cap space to have a cap compliant situation so they can sign players to field a team. And
get ahead of it.
Or you look at the Browns, right? We just talked about Myles Garrett when we did takes on Monday, and that contract and where they're at as a team, where he's at, what the contract terms were, and said, wouldn't be surprised if 2 years ago or 2 years from now, we look at the Myles Garrett contract and we say, it was probably a missed opportunity to make a big pivot and set yourself up for better long-term viability and health. That's what the Eagles are doing now, and I think they should be applauded for doing that.
Yeah, I like where it's headed. I mean, no better time to kind of consider these opportunities than when you have all the good graces you could imaginably happen, right? Coming off of a Super Bowl win. But I think Howie probably also has a lot of confidence in himself with the reclamation projects that have hit for him and Becton and Zach Bond, being able to fill in the blanks. I mean, we're talking about getting a Reed Blankenship to come in and be a good starting safety for you, or you've been able to kind of have some young defensive linemen in the pipeline that are ready to step into. So I think it's some of that as well, where he's earned probably his own confidence that we can figure things out. He's made trades during training camp that have wound up being huge impact players for their team. And so I think that probably bleeds into the confidence as well.
So Philly set to continue their pivot. We'll see what other players. Doesn't sound like Mekhi Becton, obviously, with the move for Kenyan Green with the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson trade. Probably going to have a pretty robust market. There's still some teams that need interior offensive line help. Yeah. Case in point, you got guys coming out of retirement to be in the pool. Becton among the best that's still left. And while Philly very easily could have said, we voided everybody else out, why don't we void Mekhi Becton out, get him on a contract extension, get him in here, and he'll count for $3 million against the cap, and we'll be fine. They could have done that, but they're not. And the pivot being Kenyan Green, I think the fact that Philly has allocated as many assets as they had allows them to get creative with solutions like what they did with Kenyan Green.
Yeah, I just fully expect Kenyan Green to get his career on track with the Eagles. I'd be surprised if he didn't. And boy, the Texans are stripping down that O-line in a epic fashion.
Some more interesting feedback from Adam Schefter on Laramie Tunsil as well. I don't know if you saw that. He was on McAfee. He said several other teams had a chance to acquire Laramie Tunsil and chose not to and went in a different direction.
Okay. All right.
False starts, man.
Yeah, getting a false start, man. Can't be doing that. All right, we're going to get more into the movement across the league here on the other side of it, folks. Be sure to stick with us. This show is sponsored by Betterhelp. Taking care of your mental health can feel like a big investment, but it's just as important as taking care of your body. Traditional in-person therapy can cost anywhere from $100 to $250 per session, but with Betterhelp, you could save up to 50% per session. Betterhelp offers a flat fee for weekly online therapy sessions, making professional support more accessible and affordable. With over 30,000 therapists and over 5 million people helped, it's the world's largest online therapy platform. We spend money on gym memberships and healthy food. Why not invest in our mental well-being too? Therapy is not just for tough times. It's a great tool for learning coping skills and how to set boundaries. It's easy to fit into your schedule for BetterHelp. They always are mindful that you're working, you're parenting, or you're always on the go. They'll make it work for your schedule. And you don't have to be going through a major crisis to benefit from therapy. Sometimes it's just about having someone to talk to. Your well-being is worth it. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon.
I have two things for you before we get to contract agreements.
Okay.
Thoughts on Ryan Stonehouse not being tendered an exclusive or a restricted free agent tender and becoming an unrestricted free agent. I know how big of a Ryan Stonehouse fan this podcast is.
Yeah, I mean, we were at the Shrine game when he was there, just
booming him.
Booming him. Obviously, they wanted Johnny Hekker, right? Like, that's what that came down to. That the Titans wanted Johnny Hekker. And so you saw like a big punter domino happen where Sam Martin winds up going to the Panthers. Riley Dixon goes to the Buccaneers. It's probably more punter analysis than anybody came here for, but we'll be rooting for Ryan Stonehouse. I know that both you and I are hopeful with our needs at punter. The Bills do have Jake Camarda, but we'll see. He got benched as a 4th-round punter, man. It's
great holder and a bad punter, Jake Bailey.
Is Jake Bailey still around? I thought he was cut. Is he not?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
So you're hoping for the upgrade.
Yeah, I want to. And Miami's new special teams coordinator, Ackerman, was in Tennessee with Stonehouse.
Oh, you're getting him.
When Stonehouse had his all-pro season.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming. He's yours.
Let's hope so.
He's yours.
The other thing that I had for you was compensatory picks being finalized.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it came out a little later than it normally does. Doesn't it usually come out during the combine week?
You could say anything, and I believe you. I don't remember when it normally comes out.
Big developments with the compensatory picks. The Giants ended up getting a 3 for Xavier McKinney. That was projected to be a 4. So that's a big win for the Giants. Let's see. Your team got a couple, right?
Yeah. Thanks for Gabe Davis and Leonard Floyd. Here's the question that I have. If Gabe Davis was available for trade right now, would some team give up a 5th-round pick for him?
No.
Yeah. No. I got to take the shots when I can take them, man. Like Rex Ryan's no longer really in my life. Ron Rivera's gone. Gabe Davis.
This is all you have now.
Yeah. It's running out of stuff.
We got some more, but this was your brain child here, this segment. So I'm going to let you throw out the first contract.
All right. So what we're going to do is just toss deals and get some instant reaction from each other on this. So I'll toss first. We'll go with this one. Patrick McCarry, 3 years, $37.5 million with the Jaguars.
Well-deserved. Love it for McCarry's standpoint. It was a great value for Baltimore in that offensive line the last couple of years with the versatility, whether that was at guard, whether that was at tackle, whether you're standing in for Ronnie Stanley or whether you're holding the fort until your 2nd-round pick's ready to go at right tackle, and then you can concede the starting job there. Like, for a team that in Jacksonville, I think they've made it very clear with just how much they've spent on the offensive line that they kind of wanted to overhaul that unit from top to bottom. I think the flexibility of McCarry and at a rate that is not insane amounts of money, like you potentially signed a swing tackle and a starting guard for a combined $12 million per season. It's the right kind of signings, I think, to make on the offensive line in free agency.
I like it.
How about the contract extension? Chris Godwin.
Ooh.
Coming back to Tampa Bay, reportedly leaving $20 million in offered money from another team, New England, on the table to come back to Tampa Bay. That was 3 for 66, I believe is the terms of that contract.
I mean, good for Chris Godwin to be able to continue to get big dollars despite getting injured in a free agent year.
Yeah.
There's something about the Bucs, man, where like they're the most loyal team out there.
That's where I was hoping you were going to take.
Yeah, with Levante David, never going to go anywhere. Him, I always like to bring up William Golston because he just finished his 12th season with the Bucs. Yeah. It's like a rotational defensive end. Yeah. Jason Light, low key, and I think I'll go ahead and add to this. Like, I think one of my favorite deals of any team so far has been Hassan Reddick. We go there for 1 year, $14 million.
Yeah.
What a great fit. And you kind of take advantage of the circumstances of last year where, Hassan, the previous 4 years, A-list production as an edge rusher. And so I think that's a huge way to fill a need with some value. So I really kind of love what the Bucs are doing. All right, I'll toss this one. Javon Kinlaw with the Commanders, three years, $45 million.
I can't question it too much because it's Dan Quinn. And usually if Dan's got a vision for a player with his defense in mind, it's probably going to work out okay. I never in a million years would have guessed Javon Kinlaw would have signed a $15 million AAV contract that would place him amongst contracts that have been agreed upon within this window. Milton Williams at 26, Oso Digizou on a contract extension, and then Jonathan Allen are the only contracts at interior defensive line that topped what Javon Kinlaw got from Washington. Oh, by the way, Washington moved on from John Allen to sign Javon Kinlaw for comparable money.
That's the hard part for me. Just keep John Allen. John Allen's an infinitely better player than Javon Kinlaw.
I would agree.
Infinitely.
Now, he's 2 years older. Does that matter that much? Not for me, but
no. Kinlaw is just very poor against the run too. I mean, I was very surprised by that.
I'll keep it on the interior defensive line. Poona Ford finally gets his big time contract extension, and he gets to stay in LA. He was with the Chargers. Now he signs with the Rams. This is the Bobby Brown replacement for the Rams. This ended up being a 3-year, $27.6 million contract worth $9.2 per season for Poona Ford.
Happy for Poona, man. He's been a fun guy to watch dating back to Texas, man.
Yeah.
How do you not love that dude? And kind of an interesting stretch. Like his last year in Seattle was like a dip, and then he goes to Buffalo and it literally doesn't even play. Healthy scratch most games. Goes to the Chargers where the need was really obvious, and he makes plays and turns that into a really nice deal. So I'm fired up for Poona, and then just kind of fits into that very unique front that they run. I've been watching Michael Hoyt tape, so I've been dialed in on what the Rams are doing, man, and it's different. It's different stuff. And I think as a guy that, Poona knows, but also you can go out and play towards the 5 as well.
Yeah.
I think you got a lot of interchangeability with how you can attack the pocket with all those guys.
Yeah, that's where I go back to Bobby Brown being as dynamic athletically as he was at 320 plus. He wasn't just an A-gap player who played in a shaded one, right? Like he played in the big, he played over guards, and he played on inside shade on tackles at times. And like Poona can do all of that too. So I like that fit for them.
How about Najee Harris, running back? He goes to the Chargers, 1 year, $5.25 million, and then a lot of incentives that can push it, I think, are around 10 million per.
I think it's a good stylistic fit. This will be maybe we get a little bit more clarity on how many yards per carry Najee could have. Like if it's ever going to be above 4.1, it's going to be with Harbaugh this year, right? With this offensive line.
Listen, as a dynasty owner of Najee Harris, thrilled.
Get him out of Pittsburgh.
Just that he got a chance to kind of be in a position where I think he'll get the most of the work.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I don't think Najee Harris on a 1-year deal with incentives takes them out of the running for a first-round back or an early investment there. But you feel like this will be a good chance for him to be fantasy relevant, where the wheels could have went into a timeshare and been a nothing burger.
Right.
Now they get a chance.
Let's see here, Joe. Next one I want to give out is Josh Sweat. Signing with the Arizona, reunited with Jonathan Gannon.
I know. It broke my heart.
Signs a 4-year contract valued at $76.4 million. It's 19.1 per season.
So much less than I thought. If that was 25 per, I wouldn't have blinked, man.
Yeah.
The guy's won 2 Super Bowls, right? So he's had his success, but also there was not more money out there for him. That's what really blows my mind. And obviously he certainly loves Jonathan Gannon, but I'm curious what factors led him to that being the destination that he went to, because it came in low, in my opinion.
Yeah, relative to what the top of the edge market now looks like, with Myles Garrett getting 40 million and Max Crosby signed his extension at 35.5. That becoming the upper reaches when, was it 14 months ago, we didn't have anybody over 30?
Yeah.
That I don't think that calendar timely, but generally speaking, it was like a hop, skip, and a jump ago. Nobody was over 30. And now the roof on that has gone up by 33%. And this contract now coming in below 50%, what the highest contract was very surprising to me too.
Let me sneak one in before the break. Mike Gesicki to the Bengals, re-signing with the Bengals, 3 years, $25.5 million.
A great fit, especially with Tyler Boyd no longer being a part of the picture. Mike is a middle of the field, deep cross and seam runner, right?
Yeah.
Like that's where he wins. And if you want to have that with good ball skills, large catch radius, with a quarterback who throws away from leverage as good as any quarterback in the league consistently in tight windows, and then have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins on the outside, just what that affords, knowing full well that you're probably going to continue to be amongst the league's worst rushing offenses in football. And if that's how you want to live your life, then this is a great fit.
We said it when it happened. We said it's going to work. It's going to work for them.
Yeah. There's no doubt. It was no doubt in my mind it was going to work.
It's the spot. The spot.
Yeah.
Not sure it works anywhere else, but it does in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
All right, we're talking Danny Dimes, Indiana Jones here on the other side of it, folks. Be sure to stick with us. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. You can pick your favorites. I got my eye on a few underdogs this year, and FanDuel makes it easy to back them with spreads, totals, and game props. You can stay in the action with tournament games happening almost every single day. There's always something that you can bet on that's exciting. Plus, it's easy and fast. The FanDuel app is simple to use, and when I win, I get paid instantly. There's no waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com. Get in on this offer, $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Over at FanDuel.com. Get in on the college hoops action all tournament long.
So the Colts agreed to terms on a 1-year contract with Daniel Jones. I believe the base was 14, with incentives up to in excess of 17.
Yes, that's right.
Bring him in with outright the statement being, or not a statement, but the reporting being that there's going to be an open competition at the quarterback position between Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. So, on the one hand, I applaud the Colts for not allowing their investment in Richardson and his potential to prevent them from doing the necessary thing. But it's going to be really fascinating because, Anthony Richardson was a big-time investment that you've made, and this is a pretty significant hedge with people running the organization that were a part of that decision for Anthony Richardson.
Fascinating. Really, really fascinating. I think it's a good choice for Daniel Jones. If he's going to have a legitimate chance to start with some stability, right? I mean, I like what Indy has offensively in terms of their line. Jonathan Taylor, Pittman, Downs, Pierce. They'll probably add another playmaker, maybe a tight end. So I like what they have. Shane Steichen, known for his offensive background. I think it's a good spot for Daniel Jones to go, and I think it's a better one than Minnesota, because I think Minnesota genuinely, I think they want J.J. McCarthy to be the guy. I don't know that I feel that way about Indianapolis. I think they'd love for Daniel Jones to come win this job. I'm curious to see
him off the hook.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Yeah. I'm curious to see what the qualifiers are going to be in deciding who it is, because they're such different players. And I bet Daniel Jones looks better in practice. I bet he does. But he doesn't have the X factor physical upside of Anthony Richardson. So it's going to be interesting. They're both going to play, right? It's inevitable that both of these players are going to get chances to start. But, for Indy, will the physical upside of Anthony Richardson always be tantalizing, or will there be something process-oriented about Daniel Jones that they wind up liking, but also when it has to get into second reaction stuff, the wheels are falling off?
So the Colts mitigated one of the concerns that I have if it's going to be Daniel Jones by figuring out a contract adjustment for Braden Smith. But you're talking about a new starting center and a new starting guard with Ryan Kelly and Will Fries both leaving to go to Minnesota, ironically enough, as we just got done talking about the Minnesota situation. Yeah. So the identity of this group has really been rooted in the offensive line. I expect that to continue to be the case. I would not be surprised if the Colts made an investment. Obviously, they have Tanner Bortolini, who was a 4th-round pick last year, to kind of step in one of those spots. But Lewinsky's an expiring contract. Danny Pinter's an expiring contract. I know they brought back Wesley French, but is it going to be Wesley French or?
And Dalton Tucker started several games last year. And Goncalves is a 3rd-round pick. And what's the plan there? Is he going to succeed Braden Smith at some point, or can he play guard?
Just a lot of interruption to the status quo, though, for a big year for Anthony Richardson and a prove-it year, obviously, for Daniel Jones. So, relative to the starting quarterback market, right? Like I think this is a plenty reasonable bet for Indianapolis to take when you consider Fields got 2 for $40.
Yeah.
A lot of the other backup quarterback contracts are floating around $6 to $8 million. Well, you have a guy with significant starting experience who, frankly, was in a bad situation, if we're being honest. The offensive line in New York for the majority of Daniel Jones's tenure there was horrible. They had the 1 year where they had the infusion and they picked it up in year 1 with Daboll and looked like they figured it out. And then Daniel himself regressed. I know you mentioned the element here of Shane Steichen and what that can look like. And you got to pivot. You can't just stay blindly loyal to a top 10 pick at quarterback just because he's got talent. So I applaud the Colts on that front.
So we're still waiting on some other quarterback activity. Obviously, whatever's going to happen with Rodgers, I'm already annoyed by the whole thing.
Oh, come on. It's not like it's May.
Right. Where do you think
Pittsburgh, right?
It should be Pittsburgh, I would guess. What do you think happens with Russell Wilson? Like, where's his destination?
Well, if Rodgers is going to go there, then I think Russ probably goes to New York. Play for the Giants.
And they'll hope to God they'll probably draft a quarterback, you would think.
Yeah. I don't imagine that it's getting unquestioned starter money or anything like that.
And Russ has to come to terms with that. I'm sure he does, or has, or will.
Well, it's do you want to play until you're 40 or do you not? Because if you want to just be an unquestioned starter with the way you've played the last 5 years of your career, you're not going to make it to 40.
And that's fascinating because you've seen like Joe Flacco, like happy to continue having chances, right? Despite the career that he had. But then there's other guys like Matt Ryan, Phillip Rivers. It's like, okay, go play one more season and it's it, you're not trying to stretch it out. Russell Wilson, at least for now, looks like he's on that path of stretching it out. And some guys just want to be around a team, I guess, but it's probably got to be difficult to be the player that you once were with the status that you had and really not be anything close to that.
Right. Who else are you waiting on that market as we wrap up today's show?
QBs?
Yeah. Like who else are you interested to see like where they end up landing? Obviously you have Rodgers and Russ.
Winston.
I'm kind of interested to see what kind of, again, my frame of mind is reclamation projects. Kind of interested to see what happens with Trey Lance. There's a very good chance like he just can't play. It's just not going to happen for him, right? But at the same time, he's finally coming off the rookie contract. Does he get a QB? I can't imagine he gets a QB2 opportunity, right? nobody in their right mind is going to. Cooper Rush held it in front of him, and Dallas gave up a pick to bring Trey Lance in as a top 5 pick. Where does he go? Like, are you going to have any optimism at all when he signs with his new team that
He's
it's
gonna
ever going to happen for him?
It's going to be like Kansas City. Carson Wentz is a expiring contract.
I would like that for him.
Yeah,
I'd be like, hey, like maybe it's going to happen.
Right.
Just not in Kansas City, but like that kind of coaching would give you as good of a chance as you're going to have to pull it out of the fire.
Right. I think that's the type of place he should go. He's not a candidate to me that should go to like, he shouldn't have been an option for Indy, for example.
Right. Yeah. Don't bring him in to compete for a starting job.
Or he shouldn't go to the Giants. Like, I don't think that wouldn't be helpful for him.
Yeah.
Go a team like Kansas City, like Cincinnati.
Somewhere where you don't have to play, but you can see how it works when it's done
Baltimore.
well and done right. And
go to Baltimore.
Yeah, be great. So I'm not interested from a Trey Lance in 2025 perspective, but more like, is it ever going to happen for Trey Lance? I think this is a big moment for him.
The curiosity should be out there. Again, you can't watch what's happened with Darnold and Mayfield and not feel like it's not worth a little bit of a shot for, we've already seen it with Fields and Wilson in Miami, and somebody should kick the tires on Trey Lance.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But that's going to do it for us. We're going to wrap it up before any more breaking news does drop. I'm sure this will be dated by the time you guys are listening, but nevertheless, that is this time of year. We got you covered here on Locked On NFL Scouting with Kyle Crabbs. He's John Marino. We appreciate you guys as always for checking out the show. Make it a great rest of your day. We're out of here.